let's see if we can get Anthony joined up here. Ant? All right, here we go.
Yeah, I'm here now.
All right.
You got to do it through the phone.
All right.
All right, so today we're going to do like a impromptu version of the Black Sheep Report. There's a lot of events that have taken place in just the last week alone, and we're going to touch on some of those. Amongst those topics, they're going to be obviously the censorship of the president, and not just the president, many of his followers, and even those that are considered on the libertarian and the anarchist side of the spectrum. These accounts are getting mothballed in a hurry, especially on Twitter. All you have to do is follow a guy like Michael Malice, and he'll tell you how his follower count is decreasing by the moment. Okay, so there's a purge going on. We want to take the opportunity and talk about that. We want to talk about the storming of the Capitol. We'll talk about vaccines. And then Ken, we'll also talk about our favorite topic, and the topic that seems to get us in most trouble, the fucking police. Okay? So let's get on with that. So Ken, your take this week on the events pertaining to this. I don't know where you want to start first. The storming of the Capitol, censorship. Where would you like to start?
I don't know. Let's start with the censorship. I think that's been going on a lot longer than obviously what happened on Wednesday at the at sacred chambers. At the Holy Grounds in D.C. Yeah, no, I mean, we've been seeing this kind of censorship and deplatforming happening for I don't know, probably at least I guess probably since Trump was elected back in 2016.
Yep.
I don't know. It sounds like that caught a lot of the establishment by surprise, and the technocrats and deep state or whatever you want to call them, started.
Well, here's the thing: the same claims that the Trump supporters are making now, okay, about how we got an illegitimate president elected. It was exactly the same 4 years ago, where Hillary said Trump is illegitimate. I mean, there are headlines to that same effect. Okay, so we went through 4 years of this hand wringing over this orange guy being president of the United States, and erecting basically in the meantime a cancel culture around his support. Okay, even though many of the same supporters of Trump actually voted for Obama 2 times. Okay, Trump received his win courtesy of the Rust Belt states, okay, that were disillusioned with the globalist agenda and the whole trade policy. Okay, he was able to tap into that resentment, okay, and is able to steal these swing voters. So, this, and then, though, you would, even though these people did vote for Obama and maybe were former Democrats, there was still this wholesale cancel culture applied to them. Okay, so it makes no difference what you did in the past. All your means of having a voice and communicating were fully dependent upon whether you supported Trump in any way at all.
Yeah, the more and more I think about all this stuff, it brings me back to, like, just the fact that, 2016, the choices in this precious, sacred democracy we have were fucking Hillary fucking Clinton, and fucking Orange Obama. And then this year, a 40+ year career fucking politician and Orange Obama.
Yeah.
as the precious choices this country's voters talk about, the sanctity, and it's the only democracy. Well, I don't know, it's not the only democracy, but just the fact that they give legitimacy to a system that gave them these 3 choices over the last 4 years.
Now, here, let's also like backpedal a little bit too. There is a legitimate gripe with the Trump voter on the vote manipulation. Okay, in my opinion. Okay, others that just follow mainstream media and the intelligentsia, they'll disagree with that. That there's nothing to see over here. Okay, but I do think that there is a legitimate grievance with that. But Trump himself, okay, in the way he responded to this pandemic, in part created the conditions for this all to take place, okay, by declaring the emergency order, okay, basically supporting all the pandemic statutes that were put into place, okay, financing this he's the one that helped further the narrative, okay. Here's the thing: everything that Trump does in the eyes of his supporters is like some 4D or 5D chess move, okay? And what he wound up doing was, okay, everybody's pissed off about where we're going with the vaccination agenda, but he's the one who gave the $410 million for the Moderna vaccine.
Yeah.
And then on top of it, to develop the warp speed production of the other vaccines, somewhere to the tune of $1 billion. Okay, nobody else did that.
Yeah.
Okay, Fauci has been now in 5 previous administrations. If he was dissatisfied with the way Fauci was running, okay, everything's out of the was it the NIH? Okay, his organization. Okay, he could have done something to prevent that, and with Dr. Birx, but he didn't. So he laid the foundation. Okay.
Well, he didn't lay the foundation. He put his blessing on everything.
Yeah, with the exacerbation, okay, and the promotion of this thing as a pandemic. Okay. Now, there's a case to be made that in early March we were dealing with a very big problem that probably went through to early May. Okay, but since that time, okay, we're talking about a case-demic. Okay, we're not talking about anything resembling a real pandemic. Okay, healthcare workers are not dying in droves. The homeless people who live in the most unsanitary conditions imaginable, okay, they're not fucking croaking on the streets.
Hey, lay off Portland for a minute, would you?
You don't need to test as religiously as we're doing over here, and promote the idea of tests if there's a real pandemic. Okay, you'll be able to see that. Okay, yeah. There will be observable results. Okay, so now what do we got? Okay, nobody is considered a healthy person anymore. Okay, that's gone out the window. We're all sick. De facto, by default, we're all sick.
And we're all dangerous to each other.
And Trump could have undermined the whole asymptomatic. He could have at the very least undermined the asymptomatic agenda. Okay, he could have tried to do that, Okay, and that's the linchpin. Okay, that's what made people feel that it was so unsafe to go outside, go stand in line and vote, even though they're at the Walmart every fucking week. Okay, or at the supermarket.
Yeah, Trump
Okay?
could have, Trump could have said, Trump could have asked like questions, that, drill down into, the narrative and, bring some of these things to light. He could have said, he could ask the same questions we ask, like, all right, there's X amount of cases. How many were false positives? How many, how many were false negatives for that matter? How many,
Yeah.
how many had it that didn't know they had it? How many were asymptomatic? No, none of those questions. No, I mean, nobody asked those questions, period, other than, the common man on the street that, expends, 10 brain calories trying to think about this stuff. All, he would say things like, we're testing too much, which, is probably true, but that doesn't do anything to help, quell the panic and, the rest of the disinformation that's flying around either.
I just wanted to set the stage. I don't want this thing to be about all his bungles, okay?
Yeah.
Because right now, no matter what, okay, it's not just Trump who's paying the price, okay, for being Trump, okay, which, I guess he should be accountable for. It's his followers. It's people it's people with there's a multitude of voices that are going to be strangled, okay, by this censorship purge, okay? And some of them, if we had more influence, it could be you and me, okay?
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty far down on the list in terms of people, wanting to cancel me. My accounts on any social media platform have very little influence, okay? I got a little pissant following, okay? There's only you and I on this video, okay?
The three or four likes we get on our.
So, I okay, great. I survived this purge, okay? But what about further down the road, okay? And I posted something today, okay? Okay, so now we're talking about these so-called private companies. That's another thing we need to get into, okay? Who operate collusively, okay, to basically socially exile people, okay? So we got these companies, payment providers, anything, I guess, associated with tech, okay, is like basically drilling down to weed out the negative, pernicious influences, okay? So what's next now? Utilities denying us electricity, okay? I mean, we're talking about people that can't, this is not my point. This was a guy named Eric July who was, was fantastic this week on the subject. He said, basically, he goes, you bitches can't even survive. You can't stand to coexist with each other on a social media platform. So you expect us now all to share the same government, which will also lead us into the topic of secession. That subject is being broached, okay? It's out there in the ether now. It's given consideration, okay? But which we know the state would never happen. The moment that it did happen, they come over and look at us as an enemy party and they'd fucking try and bomb us. They drone us to death. Yeah. So that, and really, when you think about it, there's nothing more peaceful than just saying, okay, look, it's like any relationship in your life. All right, you got a bad relationship, okay? You don't want to stay in the toxic relationship, okay? You don't want to, you want to get out. People should be allowed to get out. Now, the parameters by which they get out, it would be tricky, okay? Which we would extricate ourselves. But there's no sense going on with the illusion that these differences are splittable in any single way, in any meaningful way, okay? It's time for people to split up. It's what we would apply to any other unhealthy relationship in our life, but you can't apply it when it comes to the state.
Yeah, just clarify what you mean by get out. You mean get out, you don't mean like get out, move to Somalia. You mean get out, exit the system and still not be constrained by all of its rules and, the social contract bullshit. That's more what you mean, right?
Yeah, and if people want, look, Ken, if the people wanted to form this, and go the route of balkanization and form their own little mini states or whatever, okay, people breaking off from counties, secession was always an option, even under the terms of the Constitution, okay? It was, we could talk about the morality of slavery all day long, okay? But that wasn't the reason why Lincoln decided to go to war with the South. For the most part, it was the preservation of the Union that was paramount.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, in that we all
Whether you
know
freed one
about the
slave
Southern slave,
or a
the
million or
immorality
none. Yeah.
of the Southern slaveholders. Okay, so and he could have framed that whole war as a liberation war. Okay, we're going to go in and free the slaves, but he didn't. Okay, so so within that whole context, okay, because slavery muddies the other variables, okay, and I understand it to a certain extent. We treated a whole class of people like they were fucking property for since the founding of the republic,
Yeah.
okay. It muddied the whole other waters of self-determination and whether people can associate with each other. Okay, the Articles of Confederation always allowed that escape clause, and it was assumed and implied when they signed on to the stronger central government that this would be something that they could do. They could just leave the government. Okay, and what the Southerners wanted was a peaceful route to exiting. Okay, yeah, they would continue. There was a human rights issue involved. Okay, but they wanted to exit something that they didn't think was in their interests anymore. Okay, and then they decided to form their own band, a confederacy. Okay, and the rest is history. Okay, they were egged on until Fort Sumter, and then the Southerners fired at Fort Sumter, which is probably the makings of our first false flag, because I forget I forget who was the first state that exited. Okay, because after that it became an imperative for the North to go to war with the South. That was at least in Lincoln's mind. So
Right, right.
Quick little history review right over here.
Yeah.
History lesson.
Yeah, one thing we haven't talked about is, it's not like all this censorship and deplatforming just started happening since Wednesday. Like we said earlier, it started, at least 4 years ago, probably, prior to that. But
Even prior to that, their cancel culture has been going strong for a while now. And here's the one positive that I take away from the Trump candidacy. Okay, not Trump the man. Okay, is that he did not let the press intimidate him. Okay, into an apology and into backing off and cowering. He stood up to the whole cancel culture, to the whole political correctness concept. Okay, that's where Trump is a cultural touchstone. Okay, I think his importance in that area supersedes anything that he did policy-wise. Many of the things I disagreed with, except with the exception of his desire to extricate ourselves from all these foreign wars. And then what he did was he essentially followed the Obama cue, okay, condemning wars while he was a candidate, okay, and a citizen. And then when he took the mantle of power, what did he do? He increased the numbers of bombings, okay, the amount of munitions being dropped on all these countries. So
the amount of weapons sold to Saudi Arabia, our
Saudi
friends.
Arabia, this started under King Obama as well. Okay, where we supported the Saudis in their genocidal war against the Yemenis. Okay, and then Trump continued with it and then increased it.
Yeah.
So but Trump as a cultural touchstone figure, to me, it was very significant what he did. Okay, and I don't want to minimize that. And I understand. People said, I got people that support him. They say, we know this guy's an asshole. Okay, we know he's we knew this when he was in New York running around cavorting with fucking models and everything. We knew that what he was, but because he stood up, okay, to the bullying. Okay, the bully standing up to the bullies.
Yeah.
Because he stood up for himself,
Yeah.
Okay, that gave people hope and courage that you could speak out. Okay.
Yeah.
And
Well,
he survived.
yeah. Well, no, he's definitely an asshole. But I mean, anybody anybody clamoring for public office, either is an asshole already, or has demonstrated they're an asshole, or has tremendous
Absolutely.
aspirations to be an asshole.
At the very least, Ken, they're all engaged in the art of prostitution, except the prostitutes deliver better on their services.
Yeah, exactly. One thing I think so. I think the whole the deplatforming, the silencing on a lot of these social media companies that number one take money from the government already. All that stuff, and what happened on Wednesday is all. I think it's all varying tasks in the Great Reset to accelerate going down that path, especially with this what Biden's going to try to do right away with the Patriot Act 2, the NDAA 2, with focusing the spotlight and focus is going to shift from.
Can you elaborate on that? Because I didn't hear the specifics on that. Can you just outline it a little bit?
Yeah, like a domestic terrorism act, basically.
So he's going to do another variant in relation to domestic terrorism.
Yeah. I mean, so
okay.
I was just reading this morning. So he was he had a big hand in after the Oklahoma City thing back in 95, I guess it was 94, 95. The Timothy McVeigh, the bombing there in Oklahoma City. Yeah. Biden wrote some bill and tried to get it. I don't think it passed any of the the House or the Senate, but after 9/11, the Patriot Act, pretty much the ones that ran that through the system, in a week after 9/11, in a week, some fucking however many thousands of pages of bullshit, was passed without even people reading it. Somebody that was a champion of that basically told Biden, we basically just took your 1995 Domestic Terrorism Act or whatever it was called back then, and basically just changed the title on it, and now you have the Patriot Act. Well, now they're talking, now it's basically the next thing is to roll out this Domestic Terrorism Act, which is going to basically criminalize thought and speech, and public speech, hate speech, misinformation, all that stuff, which is it's accelerate the path to this global reset in digital currencies and social credit scores, all that bullshit that you and I've been talking about since we started doing this in August.
Yeah.
Which just means an accelerated path to less and less and less fucking freedom for people like you and I and the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people that are watching right now.
Oh, there's 5 people watching. Okay,
yeah.
Good.
Not including us.
All right. Well, anyway, and I kind of lost my train of thought. I understand government, okay, given its history, given what we know about it, okay, trying to make these power grabs, okay. But what bothers me, okay, and even though that there is a plethora that the average individual is bombarded with a plethora of propaganda, okay, and mind control bullshit, okay, is the lack of independent agency, okay, within the populace, okay. It used to be the left primarily that championed the values of free speech and plurality, okay. I remember back in the 80s, guy like Matt, I don't know if you remember Matt Hentoff, used to write columns at the Village Voice. Basically a free speech absolutist, okay. That's all gone now, okay. And this hive mind mentality is overtaken, okay, for mostly the folks on the left, okay. To a certain degree, still have that authoritarian impulse on the right, okay? Especially when they look to, the right often will say they want free speech, but then they'll cite the instances where somebody said something inflammatory on the left, and then they want them cut off from the land of the living too. Okay, that's their response to it. Okay,
Yeah.
so some of it is not a pure desire, okay, to see the public discourse widen and the Overton window increase. Okay, it's a get back at your enemies. Okay, it's a get back at your enemies type of thing. Well, if this one can't say it, if we can't say it, I don't want this one to be able to say it too.
Right.
Okay, but the uniform way that I see intelligent people, otherwise intelligent people in their own personal lives, okay, march in lockstep with wanting to see this mass censorship take place, okay, and they want to say Trump, like I reported, Trump is a dictator. Trump is a dictator, okay, and then what we need to do now is silence him and all his followers, okay, and then we won't have any dictators anymore.
Yeah.
You don't see that how you've totally become what you've hated. You don't see how you've morphed into the very character that you hate. Okay, how could you not see the irony in that?
Yeah.
Okay, any thinking person that's able to go from one logical progression to the next is able to see that. Okay, except for these fucking morons. Okay, and I'm just tired of seeing it. Okay, the whole "I'm offended" thing. Okay, fine, you're offended. Move on. Move on. Don't look at that person that, you have control over your feed. Okay, nobody's sticking toothpicks in your eyeballs to look at this shit. Okay, you do it of your own volition.
Do you ever get offended by anybody on social media?
Well, what do you call it? If I feel there's offense taken, I can respond to it.
Right.
Okay.
No, but are you ever offended?
What I do more often than not is I'll take something that's somebody that says that's offensive, and I'll say, why am I offended? Nobody ever asks that. Why am I offended? Maybe it's something that challenged my perception.
Well.
Okay. Maybe that's why I'm offended. Okay.
Or your beliefs.
And then internalize that. I had somebody say something this week, okay, and it goes directly to my behavior. Okay, I'm not going to get into it. And because said, gee, I'm offended, go crawl up in a fetal position in the corner. But instead I said, I got to be doing this better in my life. Okay, sometimes being offended is good. Sometimes it's healthy.
Yeah, everybody's got the right to be
I don't
offended. There's nothing wrong with being offended.
Yeah, it's a sentiment. It's not an argument.
Yeah, it's something
it's a sentiment. It's not an argument.
It should provoke some thought, critical thinking.
Yeah.
Why am I offended?
I'm not out to offend for offense sake.
Yeah. Yeah. No.
Whatever.
I say some pretty, crazy things. I'd say time to time, but it's not to offend anybody. It's to get people,
here's the thing.
People fucking thinking.
That's it. Okay. Here's the thing. Okay. That's why we're doing these discussions. Okay. And hopefully other people will take part in it and join in it too. That's what we wanted to try and do today. It's because on social media, everything is hyperbole and absolutes. Okay. That's the way social media is conducted. If you want to get attention, okay, you need to frame your argument in a way that's jarring. Okay. That jars that jars somebody's senses. Now, do I go overboard sometimes? Of course I do. Okay. But you know what? Rights and freedom have never been about whether somebody goes overboard or the excesses. Okay. They resist regardless of that. Okay. As a matter of fact, if we don't have these excesses, then you don't really have these rights at all. Okay. So, once you've said that you're offended, that's a rebuttal. Okay. You've had the freedom to say that. Okay. But then you need to, if you want to continue the discussion, you need to bring something more than the table than your basic hurt feelings. Okay. Tell me why I'm wrong, frame your argument, and then we could go on with a discussion. Okay.
Yeah.
So, Facebook comments are not the best way to conduct these things because everybody winds up talking past each other or they'll never answer questions at all. That's why, you have to do it in some sort of a conversation. Okay. That's the best way to hash these things out.
Yeah.
And what's happening now? We're being separated from each other. Okay. We cannot have those discussions anymore. So we have these echo chambers now. The echo chambers have now become even more pronounced since March of 2020. Okay, the echo chambers, are, they've hardened. We're hardening. We're setting it up into our bunkers. And at first, I thought that's what the elites wanted. They want us off of these platforms and in our own echo chambers. But with the mothballing of Parler, okay, Amazon threatening them, because Amazon's got an interest in them. They won't be allowed to use their servers. Google,
they're hosted on AWS, so
yeah. And Google saying that, okay, you can't use our platform now unless you moderate your content. Okay, so they're using that all as leverage. Okay, as well. Silence.
I mean, they're appealing to their stakeholders. I don't want to say I don't want to say their product. Their product is us, right? But they're clamoring to all the Karens out there, as well as the people that control the dollars coming in and out. But yeah, back to your you made a comment about you say offensive things. I've never read anything offensive from you.
Okay, well, there are people that took offense at me this week. Okay,
yeah, that's because you're writing something that just simply offends their beliefs, but you're not doing it any kind of like inflammatory or
when I call people pussies
rude way.
Today, so there's some of it's intentional. Some of it is I'm trying to jar perceptions. So,
right.
You can be offended. That's fine.
Not rudely. You're not doing it rudely or anything like that. So, every time I read one of your posts, I go, yeah, maybe I need to tone it down a little bit and try to be a little bit more articulate.
Everybody's got their style. Okay, you got to be you. Okay,
you
got to be you.
Yeah.
The way you tone it down, you know where you tone it down. You tone it down in the comments. That's where you tone it down. You post what you want in order to make your point, okay? If somebody gets offended, they get offended, okay? But then you try and walk it back in the comments and try and have a discussion, okay? The problem is what you see in the comments too is nothing more than posturing and trying to score, quick-witted points, okay? So the substantive discussion very rarely takes place, okay? I was going to mention something else, but I don't want to do that right now. So secession now has been tabled. Okay, it's something that we would have never entertained as early as I'd say probably 4 years ago. Let's go back to 4 years. When Obama was president. Okay, so now that's been tabled again. At least it's part of the conversation. Okay. Everything about what we do, ironically enough, even though we believe in principles of self-defense and in the need to use violence at times, everything about what we talk about is about avoiding violence, okay? And that's what I want to avoid. I want to avoid the bloodshed, okay? We don't have to have bloodshed, okay, if we just let people be, okay? Let Trump, people that are fervent Trump supporters, do what they need to do and live according to the principles they want. Let the left have their own principles. And then other people form their own alliances and communities elsewhere. Anarchists or whatever you have, whatever flavor it is. Okay, that's what we should. That's what we should be pushing for.
Yeah. No, I agree. So let's just talk a little bit about what happened on Wednesday, and
okay,
all the rhetoric and I think specific verbal gymnastics that we're seeing on the mass media and um, and online on social media, especially the terms like, I mean, if you've heard domestic terrorism and terrorists once, you've heard it a million times over the last 5 days. And I think that goes back to what we were talking about before about the Great Reset and the next Patriot Act 2.0 that we'll probably see pretty soon. But the terms like insurrection, armed insurrection, and sedition, how do you take that seriously? Like, what? If it was real domestic terrorism and an armed insurrection, shouldn't have been a little bit more violent, and aside from the cop shooting somebody there, and I don't know, somebody that might have got trampled on, or I don't even know what happened to the cop that lost his life after the fact, how that all happened, but
I don't know the specifics around that. I heard here's another thing. I heard somebody say, okay, now a lot of people said this cop just fired blindly or whatever, but then you had of course the many on the left who had protested police violence. There's enough hypocrisy to go around.
Yeah.
Protesting the police violence and everything. Earlier in the year with George Floyd, say, well, they had a right to do that because she would have gotten there's a possibility she would have gotten at the ballots. Are you joking? Are you joking with me? The fucking ballots, you're putting pieces of paper above human life.
Yeah.
Okay? Really? This is the humanitarians. And then, of course, the whole outrage and the disgust that they felt about, the Viking guy taking Nancy Pelosi's seat and all that other stuff, and somebody walking off with a fucking podium.
Yeah,
I wrote this week, you paid for that podium. You paid for that seat.
Yeah.
Dummy.
In many states, if you did to somebody trying to break into your house, I just find it funny that only one cop, out of all the times and all the people that you see getting killed by cops because they feared for their lives, how did nobody else get shot on Wednesday?
Mm-hmm. There's videos of them actually saying that they let him in.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah. The like, I don't know how many thousands of people were there. Everybody had their phones, but somehow you only see like 2 or 3 like clips just on a loop anytime the mainstream media talks about anything. But the fact that one cop decided he was in fear for his life and he had to shoot somebody. The average Joe doing that in certain states in the United States here, if you did that, someone breaking into your house, you'd end up in jail for killing somebody.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you don't, because you have the duty to retreat first. But try to take over the sacred chambers of the U.S. Congress, and all bets are off. Apparently, for one cop. But yeah, they let the selfies. The barricades are these fucking bicycle fucking racks. Like, what's that supposed to do? Like, a third grader can hurdle those things. They opened them up and let people in. They were taking selfies. But just the fact that these fucking warmongers in this place,
we're under attack.
No, hold on a second. When everybody trots out the old, they hate us for our fucking freedoms.
Yeah.
That's what fucking the planet fucking hates us for. What happens in that fucking sacred fucking chamber.
Mm-hmm.
The destruction of the fucking planet, at the whims of these fucking criminal fucking tyrants in the sacred chamber. Like, how that place gets breached by a bunch of fucking Trump mooks is beyond me. There's no way it wasn't an inside job. When I'm saying inside job, I'm not talking about fucking Trump pulling strings to allow it to happen. There's no doubt in my mind it was clearly intentionally planned and set up to happen, to get people, frothing at the mouth about an attack on our democracy.
Look, that's a possibility. I mean, I think everything is just about everything, okay? What you see in the news is there for a reason. When you watch the news, okay, in my opinion, you watch any mainstream news or read any mainstream news source, you have to ask the question before you get into the heart of the matter. Why is it there? Okay, it's there for a reason. Okay, there's a reason why George Floyd becomes the touchstone issue and the symbol of police violence. Okay, and Duncan Leb, okay, doesn't. Or a better analogy is Breonna Taylor versus Duncan Lemp, okay? The mainstream media is prioritizing certain things to manipulate a certain sentiment and outcome, okay? And Breonna Taylor fits the whole racial divide and conquer narrative better than Duncan Lemp does, even though both suffered at the same fate with no-knock raids.
Yeah.
So it's all there for a reason. Okay, so I don't know whether it's false flag or setup. It does smell funny. It does smell funny, but that can't be dismissed and it can't be dismissed out of hand. Okay, but even taken at face value, okay, it's a joke. It's a joke the way people reacted and the outrage that they felt at the democratic process. You say you got to accept the outcome of the whole democratic process. Well, this was a fucking outcome. Okay.
Yeah. I don't know how I'm not saying, I wouldn't call it a false flag. A false flag would imply it's, an enemy ship flying our colors.
Well, you said that maybe they wanted to make it, yeah.
Unless they're calling a certain segment of our population a foreign state or foreign enemy. A false flag I don't think is appropriate. I think it's a fucking inside job is what I would call it.
False flag doesn't just apply to, it wouldn't apply to just foreign enemies as well. I mean, I know that's the context that's used for war. False flag has its roots in the Hegelian dialectic.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's, problem, reaction, solution. I believe that, that there are counterinsurgencies that people like what happened all summer long. Okay. It quickly went from, okay, we need to address police violence to, saying, take Uncle Ben off the fucking rice box and do away with Aunt Jemima. You know what I'm saying? It became almost a counterinsurgency that kind of legitimized the fact that authority needs to be in place. Mm-hmm. Okay. Otherwise, we'll have these people toppling statues and everything. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I think it's more pervasive. Problem, reaction, solution, Hegelian dialectics. I mean, Democrats and Republicans are Hegelian dialectics. It's where you try and reconcile two polarities, okay, that are seemingly contradictions, but for power, it's no contradiction at all.
Right.
That's the essence of false flag, problem, reaction, solution, whatever.
Yeah. Anyway, just what happened on Wednesday was unfathomable until Wednesday. Like who would ever thought like it was that easy to basically take over and commandeer the Capitol for a second, let alone a couple hours. But then when you watch how it happened, it's like, well, I guess it's pretty easy if there's zero resistance to anyone trying to do that. I mean, there was no resistance at all except for a little pushing and shoving.
Yeah, somebody that I follow, and this lady's great, lifelong libertarian. She said, this is disgusting to these people, okay? But what is it that we celebrate every 4th of July? Okay, we celebrate revolution. We celebrate insurrection.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what you celebrate every fucking 4th of July. I mean, we've changed the context to troop flyovers and all that other bullshit, but that's the essence, the historical meaning behind it. You're offended by what took place in the founding of the country. That means, okay, if you're offended, And also, the other point she brought out was, here we have, okay, a bunch of Trump supporters, okay, having the balls, right, whether they're right or wrong, okay, to go storm the castle, okay. So they're willing to storm the castle, and okay, and on behalf of another tyrant, okay. And we at home, we just watch it, okay. And libertarians do nothing, okay, in order to counteract the tyranny that's taken place over since March.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's we have to have this desire, this burning desire for freedom. Okay. The same way that these Trump insurrectionists, okay, did. Okay. And you don't have to storm the castle. Okay. It becomes a matter of not disobeying and practicing disobedience where you are. Okay. And if nobody obeys their laws, okay, then these laws and statutes have no effect on our lives. And we're a long way from that as a people.
Yeah. So I agree. The people that are, pearl clutching and gasping at, the democracy under attack and, insurrection or revolution. Yeah. I mean, every 4th of July you celebrate pretty much, blasting cannonballs and musket balls in the face of tyranny, tyrants. But, this time it wasn't your flavor, so it's wrong.
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah. But what's with this guy with the Chewbacca outfit? Have you seen anything or read anything about him? I know.
I just read that they found him.
They were trying to say he was like he was an Antifa guy, and of course, all the social justice warriors out there immediately, sent out fact check verifications that he wasn't, and he admitted he's not part of Antifa, blah blah blah. But I was watching a JP Sears video the other day, and he posted something about this guy was arrested in Phoenix not too long ago at an Antifa rally. Like, I think wearing the same fucking costume.
Yeah. There's some people that are professional protesters. Okay. Yeah. I believe that there are certain paid actors or whatever, but I don't know. I don't know. It's something that I'm not able to prove. Why doesn't the right just own up to the fact that they just got fucking pissed off? Okay. And they spent all summer, okay, condemning any form of what they wanted. This is what they wanted in the summer. Oh yeah, those cops were terrible. No, let's fucking move on. That's what they wanted in the summer.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, when it comes to their freaking precious tyrant, okay, and the elections at stake, they want to back off. They want to backpedal and say, "Well, it must have been Antifa." Okay. I don't know. I have no idea. I wouldn't say it's an impossibility, but there's no way for me to make that determination.
Yeah, I don't think it was anybody to be more specific and more direct. I think it was, like I said, I think it was a fucking inside job, and these fucking people are
I think it's
probably getting compensated at one point or another. I'd like to see.
I think it's a possibility. Yeah. Okay, I don't rule anything out.
Yeah. Anyway, what happened on Wednesday was, and what's happened since, on social media, I think was epic level fucking unintentional comedy.
Yeah, and what soon became an attack on the dictator Trump became an attack on everybody else, and that's the way it always works.
Yeah.
Okay, it works in wars where we target the enemy, and soon those same methods, okay, those same methods are brought on the populace at home. Wars are testing grounds to unleash all types of psychological manipulation and tyranny. okay, and then they bring it home, okay. So now they seize the moment, they seize the opportunity to turn Trump's words, which were not violent, by the way. It's bullshit, okay? And I'm not here to defend them, defend Trump, but he did not call for violence, okay? And then turn it on everybody else, saying we got to stop everybody else, not just Trump, okay? So everybody else now is thrown into the mix. And then people that don't even support Trump, like myself, okay, those accounts will be targeted too.
Yeah, I don't think Trump
For
I
preaching
don't
a
think Trump
message
incited anything, to be honest with you. But
yeah, no, he didn't incite anything.
in any other time, like you would have seen the national press conference, the president would have been on every fucking network. They would have broken in, and you know, who's to say that they even that they they didn't intend to do that and they just weren't allowed to.
Yeah.
I can't believe Trump is consciously taking the Twitter ban, seriously, and has learned his lesson. Like I can't imagine him like not going. Get me on national TV right now, and just someone going, "Oh, too bad, it's too late, dude. You're out. You're not getting another fucking platform."
Yeah. I posted something earlier as a joke, breaking, Trump has been deplatformed now on MySpace and Friendster.
Yeah, no, I made that comment. Like, I wonder if they shut down his Napster downloads.
The Wayback Machine is considering taking actions as well.
Yeah.
So they want to erase every memory of the man. That's it. That goes to a post that you said earlier in the week. The Ministry of Truth is right in your face, and you don't even fucking recognize it.
Yeah, yeah.
Like 1984 is playing out right before you. Okay.
Yeah, the velocity
right,
towards towards 1984 is only increasing exponentially.
All right, let's get into vaccines quickly. Okay.
Oh.
And the adverse events that are taking place. Okay, and here's where we got some issues with the way this vaccine was brought to market. Okay, basically, when they conducted these trials, okay, now somebody said that they didn't allow anybody over 70. Okay, somebody that was knowledgeable in the field. I found that to be untrue. They did have a group that was in the 65 to 85-year-old category, but it was important that they didn't have any autoimmune conditions, any serious comorbidities.
Right.
Okay, so these were people these were otherwise healthy people, okay, that participated in these trials. And somebody said, well, it's unethical to do that. Well, that's why you have the animal trials.
Yeah.
Okay. So you can experiment with these types of conditions and get more data, amass more data, and then see how that progresses. Okay. You got, and look at things like immune enhancement that takes place with vaccines, which is really the opposite of what you think it means. It's actually, can this vaccine make me more susceptible? Now that you've generated this spike protein, you've placed it inside me, am I now more susceptible to the wild virus? Okay, that happens in a great deal of individuals, and it happened in the original SARS-CoV-1 vaccine, and they saw that in the animal trials. So they did these human trials, and they rushed it through with the placebo group and those that received the live vaccine. Okay, relatively healthy people. Okay, and now what are they doing though? Okay, apart from the nurses, okay, their first priority is to put this on the elderly. Okay, of course, because they're the most vulnerable population. Okay, and no comorbidities are found. Okay, so we got all these adverse events now taking place. We've had at least 10 people die from, I believe, the Pfizer vaccine, right?
Wait, with or from?
What?
With the vaccine or from the vaccine?
Well, they're going to say it's with the vaccine. It's not from the vaccine. See, that's the other parallel, okay? COVID don't talk about comorbidities. You're being insensitive.
Yeah.
Okay. Don't talk about it. Don't talk about any other thing feeding into it. Don't talk about forged death certificates and all the other bullshit. Okay. But when it comes to the vaccine, it's not the vaccine itself. It's the other conditions that the person had, okay, prior to entering into the vaccine. Okay. And if they get sick, you know, it was because they fell within that window.
Yeah.
Okay.
Finger wagging. You don't know that it was the vaccine that caused their death.
Try
to tell them you don't know that COVID caused their death, and it's you're being anti-scientific or a science denier.
Yeah, we're totally looking into a black box on this vaccine. And I believe it's intentional, so we don't have the critical data points that we need to criticize it, and they can just spew their propaganda bullshit saying that there's nothing wrong with this fucking vaccine. Right. Okay, because they're looking to blow up the placebo control group. Okay, right away. Now, there's some legitimacy to the gripe, okay, but by doing so, okay, you're eliminating critical long-term data points, okay, that you would be able to amass on this vaccine, okay, and it's also, but here's the thing, they've already done it, starting from Jump Street, okay, saying, okay, anybody that was in that placebo, they should get the vaccine now, okay, so. That's one thing, and also I think there's like a 6-week period, a 6-week limit to where they after the vaccine where they monitor people, okay, about acquiring in terms of it's not adverse event, it's whether they'll acquire the disease after 6 weeks, okay, then they stop tracing. So after the 6-week period, if somebody gets it, that data is not being collected. You understand what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. The data in regard to contracting SARS-CoV-2. Mm-hmm. So that goes away. There's no tracking mechanism past 6 weeks. Okay, so in my opinion, this is an intentional black box that they're setting up. Okay, where we won't be able to reconcile all these data points. In the meanwhile, they're pushing full speed ahead. Mandatory vaccinations, pushing corporations now, pushing, you can't fly without the vaccine. You can't work here without the vaccine, okay? So, with the combination of adverse events and whether this vaccine has the efficacy it claims, okay, all this data is going to be obscured very shortly.
Are you going to have to show your vaccine certificate to vote next time?
Possibly.
I mean, in person.
Well, with all the technology we have, we can't authenticate votes or whatever. I mean, it's kind of silly.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So I don't know if you got anything to add on the whole vaccine issue.
No, I just trying to piece together, fucking science and.
You think Tiffany Dover's still alive?
Who?
Tiffany Dover, the nurse that took the vaccine and then fainted. You don't remember that in Nashville?
No, I remember seeing it.
Chattanooga, Tennessee, I think it was.
But she didn't die, right? Or what are you asking exactly?
Do you think she's dead?
No.
There's a rumor going around that she's dead.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
So I don't know. But she has not made public statements about it, even though she was so willing to have herself filmed, taking this vaccine at the outset. So I don't know.
Right.
That's interesting, though. It's there's another whodunit for us.
I thought it was a simple answer to that. It wasn't the vaccine. She has fainting spells or something.
Yeah, it was a vagal response. She said something to do with the vagus nerve. Yeah, that was the reason for that.
Yeah.
Okay. There's nothing else to say about that. Let's move on to. You want to talk about the cops?
Yeah.
We'll get ourselves in more trouble.
Yeah, sure. I mean, the vaccine is going to be a never-ending fucking topic. Just seems like the cops are too. But yeah, let's move on to the boys in blue, our precious protectors and servers.
Yeah. Here's the thing. What
This is probably where
it's like,
like a good portion of our 8 viewers drop off.
yeah, yeah. This is a very tough issue for people, and I guess I get it on some level, especially if you got family members that are in the police force. But here's the thing, okay? I think, I understand the resistance to every cop is, me saying every cop is a criminal, okay? And I'm doing that doing it based upon the way they conduct their jobs and the logic and a progression of reason, okay? Every cop is a criminal, okay? In my view, but are there cops that are otherwise nice people? Are there cops that are otherwise fun at dinner parties and intelligent? Yes. Okay. That it's possible for those things to be true. Okay. But I think by saying that, we need to come to grips with the way what cops do to people every day. Okay. And it seems that when it comes to government and government services, people have this view that they don't take with any other area of their lives or any other service. Okay. So they'll immediately default to the good cop, bad cop argument, okay? And they'll say, well, they'll say, well, look at all the good that they do, every now and then mixed in with violating people's rights on the road, okay, and extorting money from them every day. So if you're a plumber, okay, I'm going to just throw this out there. It might not be the best analogy. Okay, you're a plumber and you do beautiful work. Okay, your fixtures or you install are spot on.
Really good grout work.
Yeah, grout work. Grout work. Your pipes are perfectly soldered. You use the best copper plumbing. But you either overcharge or charge for services that were not included in the bill. Does that mean that you're going to overlook that because the plumber is so skilled? Okay, are you going to overlook the fact that he's fucking trying to rob you? Okay, the answer, of course, is no. There's no excuse for that. But they're saying since cops contribute in other ways that are positive, in their opinion, okay, that we just got to look to eliminate the bad ones and keep the good ones, and that's the extent of the way they want to hold the police accountable. And like I said, no other area, no other service in their lives do they do that except with the police, the school system, of course, okay? And of course, in those particular areas, they are always the first to blame the populace. Blame the populace first, the people that are receiving the service, as opposed to those that are required to provide that service to the public, okay? And that's where I see them kind of like not giving thought. Like they can't see the parallels. Okay, like you posted a meme this week. One guy holding somebody up with a mask, and then a cop in the window, giving you the ticket. Okay, well, what's the difference between these two pictures? Okay. Think about it for a second. There is no difference, okay? Unless you could demonstrate a victim. That's what law should be based upon. Where's the injured party? Let's rectify that, okay?
Well, there is one difference. The difference is one's legal, one's not.
Yeah, and one wears a costume and one doesn't, okay?
That's the only difference.
Yeah.
One is legal, one is not.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest hang up the law and order crowd has. They look, it's that old cliche, just because it's illegal doesn't mean it's wrong, or just because it's legal doesn't mean it's right. But the law and order crowd, if it's illegal, no matter what the terrible consequences are on an individual or society, it's all good. It's legal. Yeah. You don't like the system, vote different, vote harder, all that bullshit. Yeah. But one thing's constant: the monopoly on violence that the police
Absolutely.
and the state have.
Yeah, we've granted permission. The state grants these people permission to commit crimes on their behalf. Okay? And anything that's a violation of your natural rights is a crime. Okay? And that's where they can't see that's where they can't see our argument. But I'll even say, even in terms of arguing these positions on their terms, okay, good cop, bad cop, okay, how can you not draw the conclusion, okay, that this is a pervasive systemic problem? Okay, I'll give you one example, okay, right away. In 2018, they just released a they released a WikiLeaks file dump of 80,000 police officers, okay, and their misconduct, okay? It was a massive file dump, okay? Somebody got hold of these records, okay? There were roughly about 800,000 police officers in the United States, okay? So, you know, in terms of what they identify as good cop, bad cop, where's the tipping point? Okay, so we're talking about maybe around an area of 10%. Okay, maybe these are multiple offenders or whatever. Okay, so maybe it's not exactly 80,000 cops. Okay, so let's just take that number. That's 80,000. That's close to 10%. Is that enough for you? Is that enough corruption for you? If not, how about in those particular instances, not just the guy that perpetrated these actions, brutality, criminality. How about the people that stood by and said nothing or did nothing to stop them or report them? Okay, are they good cops as well? So pretty soon, okay, when you're taking the totality of the police culture into the situation, we're not just talking about a few apples. There was another file dump, New York Police Department. I don't want to, it was The Intercept. I think you had posted about it as well. Another file dump exclusively with the New York Police Department. There's about 40,000 officers in the New York Police Department, and I think about 11,000 incidences. Okay, you know, there's countless things to point to. Look, just look at the way a cop, if you challenge, if you're not obedient, okay, if you're not totally subservient and submissive to him in a regular encounter, you ask him to show cause. Look at how they get, okay, within the context of these encounters. Okay, are these good cops or bad cops? You know what I'm saying? So even without going into the abstract argument, you know, that uses the chain of reason and logic, okay, solely, okay, you could demonstrate empirically, okay, that we got a profound problem with the police, okay, even if we're talking about good apples versus bad apples. And then let's get into the dogs, okay, that they shoot, and that amounts to 10 to 15 a day if you take the national numbers that they quote.
Yeah.
I'm going to say, okay, that number's bullshit. Even if it was 5, okay, that's a significant number of animals that they're killing a year, okay, that they're abusing. And then you got these moves.
That doesn't even include their own that they abuse and kill.
Oh yeah, their own that they abuse too.
Their own boys in blue.
In whatever context you choose to argue this position, okay, you need to come down, and my point is you need to come down on this side of accountability, okay? And you know, you and I want to abolish the police, okay? That's never going to fly with anybody, okay? But at the very least, we can push the margins of this issue to get reforms, okay, that would significantly curtail their powers and confine them to what people perceive that they should be doing, which is protection. That's when you talk about it, the root core of this all, okay? You know, we can talk about Second Amendment issues and whether you should be able to protect yourself or not, but we don't have a populace that's trained anymore in that, okay? Myself included, okay? I neglected that portion of my life. But what people want from the police basically is protection, okay? And all you have to do is point to those riots and everything and know that that's not where they're committed to. And they're not constitutionally obligated to provide that service. Okay, even when it's within their power to do so, the courts have ruled on that. Okay, so cops, by and large, are not protecting people. Okay, they just don't do it, and they're not even solving crimes anymore, or significantly, they're not fulfilling that obligation. Okay, they're too busy carrying the water of the ruling class.
Yeah.
Okay, in order to be concerned with this, well, you can say, well, you know, they show up at accidents or whatever. Okay, there's some legitimacy to them being there at accidents, but as far as ambulance assists and all that other stuff, okay, do they really need to be there? Now, also, should the other thing that's a bone of contention, we shouldn't be enlisting them at all. I mean, this is a problem in the system as well, in these welfare checks. Okay, you know, the cop is trained to see he's a hammer and he's trained to see everything as a friggin' nail. Okay, we could just basically say right now, welfare checks are a friggin' disaster. Okay, if we're going to have these, if you're going to have these at all, it needs to be administered in a completely different way. Okay, than somebody showing up with a gun. Okay, or tasing or whatever. Because what's happening is some dog is always getting shot. Okay, somebody's getting tased. Okay, usually it's somebody that has mental defects or physical defects. Okay, I saw a cop beating the shit out of somebody who didn't have any limbs. Okay, there's a video of that. Okay, that's not national news, by the way. What?
I know what you're talking about.
Did you see that video?
Yeah.
Yeah, this guy didn't have any limbs, and he's fucking throwing them on the floor all over the place.
Yeah, they toss people out of wheelchairs, all kinds of fucking shit.
Okay, these things don't. These are local news stories. Okay, we see them because we subscribe to these pages, and these were the stories that were the tipping point for me, not what the fucking media was saying.
Yeah.
Okay, I agree that the media exacerbates the race issue.
Yeah. Well, forget about the race issue and all that stuff for now. All you gotta do is watch any evening news show for 20 minutes, and you're gonna hear something about some officer was hurt or some number of officers were hurt. That's always what they lead with whenever there's any kind of civil disobedience or protests or anything like that. The first thing you hear about is, you want to know how bad it was? X amount of police got hurt. Even though they're the ones there typically escalating the violence and starting, inciting shit to begin with.
Yeah.
But the priority is always officer safety, and the only thing they're going to talk about first in the media is how many officers got hurt, killed, whatever. Always. Watching this news recently about the nonsense that happened in the Capitol on Wednesday, it was like, armed insurrection, our democracy is under attack. Oh, and by the way, this many officers got hurt. Capitol Police got hurt.
Yeah.
How the fuck is that? How is that fucking two equal fucking commentaries? But anyway, that's what you hear constantly on the news. It's always about officer safety, and the narrative is always, these guys are out there to protect and serve. Never about generating revenue, by writing tickets. Never about civil asset forfeiture. Never about the fucking, the 40% domestic violence rate, in the police ranks. Never about and we talk about good cops, bad cops. I read a story years ago about how, really the police departments and policing in general are overwhelmed with good cops, and that we need more bad cops, because good cop is the one that follows orders, doesn't cross the thin blue line, doesn't rat out their fucking criminal brethren, doesn't do anything that disrupts the status quo and challenges the system. Those are good cops. Bad cops are the ones that go, no, the kid had a phone in his hand and is calling his grandma, and my partner killed him because he could.
Yeah, well, that's the internal police narrative. Okay?
Bad cops are the ones that cause problems for the fucking system and the status quo. That's a bad cop. Good cops are the ones that perpetuate and enable it to, just to grow and get worse.
That speaks to the whole subculture that's developed around policing. Okay, this goes beyond good, bad. somewhere in the middle, okay? It's the subculture that we created with our tax dollars, okay?
Yeah.
There's, it's fealty and loyalty to the uniform first, above all else. Getting home at night, safe, above all else. Where is that a criterion in any other job? Where's that a gauge or a metric in any other position but policing, okay? And police, look, it's a fucking shitty job. I wouldn't want to do it, okay? It's a fucking shit job. But, it is a job that they chose to do, okay? And they did take an oath to perform certain services in honor of the public, okay? And as it turns out, it's not very long before a cop finds out, geez, am I really serving the public, okay? Who am I serving? What am I doing, okay? And I think a lot of these people go through that more than we suspect, okay? But after years of being in it, and the pension is in their sights, in their rearview mirror, okay, and it's approaching closely, the objects are closer than they appear, they say, I just need to hang on just a little bit longer, okay? I need to just hang on just a little bit longer, okay? Yeah. To a certain extent, I get it.
Listen, not to be argumentative, but I'm sure it's a challenging job, especially in certain cities or municipalities, states, regions.
Yeah.
But to say it's a shitty job, it's a shit job for someone that thinks like you and me and countless other people that can employ some critical thought, can think about the difference between legal and right, illegal and wrong, all that stuff. People with morals, people that can think in the context of doing the right thing versus following the law and following orders. But for fucking psychopaths and control freaks, which a great majority of these fucking cops are, this is a fucking dream job. This is dream come true shit. They could drive around and fucking do anything they want for the most part and be unaccountable to anything but their internal policies and fucking cronyism and bullshit. Even when it's on fucking videotape.
That is if they remember to turn on the body cam. Here, the reason why this, look, Ken, listen, when we discussed this in our inaugural episode, the tipping point now, okay, for all the things that are wrong with technology, okay, if it weren't for the technology, okay, I might be, and maybe you, I don't know, we still might be talking about this fucking good cop, bad cop thing, like the rest of the population, because we all knew that this was out there, okay, prior to the tech revolution and everybody having a camera in their hand, okay, but once everybody's got a camera and a cell phone that's able to record these things, we got to see the extent of it, okay? We got to see that how much this really does take place, okay? And that's why based upon empirical evidence, these good cop, bad cop arguments, they don't carry water anymore, okay? There isn't an incident, there isn't a day that goes by where I don't see an incident pop up in my feed, okay? And I'm not talking about just killings, okay? I'm talking about the everyday indignities that they try and impose upon the population, the gaslighting, okay? That's all recorded on film, okay? That's recorded now, okay? We got a record of it. When I was young, my mom told me about my dad, okay? My dad caught a beating from state troopers, okay? The state trooper barracks, because my uncle had gotten into a fight with an off-duty police officer in a diner. This officer came in drunk, he was off duty, and he was insulting people. And so my uncle, confronted him, and the guy got loud again, and then he got into a fight, okay? So this guy got messed up, the trooper, okay? Then they found out he was a state trooper, and then they had to leave, okay? And then when the troopers got a hold of him, okay, they brought him through a lineup and beat him with rubber hoses on his back, okay? So this shit has been going on an awful long time, okay? an awful long time. Okay, it's been unearthed basically, you know, since we had the tech platforms like YouTube and everything, and the advent of the good cameras on cell phones. That's where that now everybody's forced to deal with what we already knew is taking place.
Yeah.
Okay, and we can no longer deny the experience of the minorities, okay, that were suffering disproportionately at the hands of these policies. I can't deny it anymore. And there's a lot of griping to me that goes on within the minority community, okay? And I got to say that this is a legit fucking grievance, okay? They're going to jail in droves for basically nonviolent crimes, okay? We have 25% of the world's prison population, and 40% of them are black, okay? And most of them are for nonviolent offenses.
In the land of the free.
Land of the free, okay? So we've all got to be committed to change on this, okay? And sticking your head in the sand and say it's good, bad, good, bad, good, bad. It's not doing it anymore, okay? And plus, let's think about it too. With everybody that preaches individual responsibility and moral agency, like conservatives do, who support this bullshit, okay? All of a sudden that flies out the window when you become an order taker. Okay, when did that come? The Nuremberg, think about it. The Nuremberg defense, okay, is acceptable for police officers. The Nuremberg defense that the Nazis tried to apply during the Nuremberg trials, okay, Adolf Eichmann, okay, saying we were just following orders. Okay, that's the Nuremberg defense. Okay, that is now acceptable to them. You know what? The Nazis had more of a reason, okay, to stay in line than the police do, because nobody, okay, is going to hold a policeman's feet to the fire for resigning, okay? A Nazi officer, if he wanted to resign his position based on ethical grounds, would have received a bullet in his head from his fellow comrades.
Yeah.
Okay? Now that's not going to go over big with these people. Look, I don't want to just focus in on, I think we all have a moral responsibility. On the other end, we have a moral responsibility now to disobey these laws. That's become imperative on our part, okay? To disobey. We need the gumption and courage in order to stand up to unethical and immoral laws, okay?
One of the big,
because we're going to be held accountable for that too. So it's not just with the cops, okay? We have to do something, okay?
And I'm a big believer in and supporter and proponent of filming the police. Like,
yes,
walk down the street, you see some fucking guy, homeless guy, anybody getting harassed or whatever, you know, by a cop, whip your phone out and fucking stand there for a few minutes and film them. You're gonna either have something on record that somebody might, you know, depend on for their freedom sometime down the road, or you're gonna you know, experience directly how much these fucking cops don't like being fucking filmed, even though they're public servants. All that stuff. That said, it doesn't even fucking matter if it's on film anymore. Like, it just takes the DA and, you know, a couple jurors that get swayed. These fucking cops always get off. I know a cop will get, you know, arrested, and, you know, most of the time it's reduced charges, and, you know, they hardly ever spend any time behind bars. And I know there's enough that do, but, you know, majority of them, you know, at worst they, you know, they can't be cops anymore. But a lot of them move around department to department, you know, where
very few actually serve time for.
But, you know, even shipping on video now doesn't really fucking help. Nothing's really changed. I mean, it's created more outrage from the people that, you know, again, have a moral compass and can, you know, differentiate between right and wrong and legal and illegal, and, you know, those things don't always equate, but, you know,
because they could always say the magic words. I feared for my life. I feared for my safety.
You're right.
That's a get out of jail free card. That's what's used.
You're right, though. It's going to take a massive movement, and probably, you know, often it'll be violent, you know, which I hope doesn't happen. But you're talking about insurrection. If there's a reason to have an insurrection, it's the fucking U.S. police.
I'm not even talking about insurrection. Just not complying with these fucking statutes. Okay, our biggest mistake was years ago, and we let the cat out of the bag with this. When we let the governments take our money. Okay, that should have been a touchstone issue with us. But we're well past that now, because everything is built on incrementalism. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But let's talk about the pandemic rules. Okay. Like Michael Malice said it perfectly. All these pandemic statutes would basically be love letters to Santa. Okay. If there was an armed state agent, okay, willing to enforce them. Okay. So everybody's all bent out of shape over the pandemic statutes and everything, but who's the one that's coming after you? Okay. The ones that you've been trying to protect all summer. Okay. And not hold them accountable for their actions. Okay. Those are the people that are going to enforce those rules and statutes. Okay. And I'm just going to leave it with, I'm just going to leave it with that thought. I mean, you got anything else to add to that? Go ahead.
I think one path is, and this is probably a forever road or path, is jury nullification. Just start getting the fucking message out. I'm ready to go down to the fucking courthouse and start handing out jury nullification fucking pamphlets and take the risk of, I'll probably get arrested and, have to fight it in court, and win. But people got to get educated. If you don't think someone belongs in jail, especially some fucking poor guy on the streets, for fucking smoking a plant, you get selected to jury duty. Be the one fucking guy that stands up for what's right and not just for the fucking law.
Yeah. Well said. All right, Kim, I think we should wrap it up. We got a long time. I think this is a good episode, and I think we could just basically, if we had to, just upload this as is, because I'm really excited about everything that we discussed here today. I think it was a substantive talk, and we'll come back next week with something else.
Yeah. So, Ant, do you recall offhand what episode we're on right now?
No, and I don't think that it's going to matter anymore. I don't know if we should track it, because some of these episodes are dated. Okay, I think the original police accountability one that we did at the outset, and our journeys to how we became, part of that police accountability movement, and morphed from being, guys that were basically wholesale supporters of the police. I think that's relevant. Some of the others we're going to have to go through and see if they still apply to the what's unfolding today. Okay, but I think it was important to have those conversations anyway, in order to develop the interpersonal dynamic between the two of us, and to move on, in the development of this podcast. So I mean, like I said, I think this one was a really good one, and I think, if we had to, we could just upload this as is.
All right.
It wasn't perfect, but it was good, very good, I thought.
Yeah, it only took me three tries to get it started and get connected with you. But yeah, we got it. I think this is our best one so far. We'll get it. Let's take it offline, but we'll do it at the same time next week. You and I will catch up during the week, talk about topics, and an outline on what we're going to talk about.
Yeah, we already got the some of this lined up, and I want to get some guests on here too. So I got some ideas as far as guests.
We're gonna get Mike. We're gonna get Mike Lambert and Jimmy Fontopoulos on the next week. If you guys are still listening.
If we had the StreamYard going, we could include them in on could have included them in on the conversation. Maybe we'll figure it out the next time.
Yeah. No, I'm gonna look at that later on today and see.
Then people could have a whack at us. People could have a whack at us too.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Good enough.
Talk to you soon.
All right.
I'll see you.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.